Buddy, welcome to the party. Today is Friday, July 24th, 2026. This is Simply Cyber's daily cyber threat brief podcast. I'm your host, Two Thumbs, all smiles, big hot, piping cup of Joe. Dr. Gerald Auger coming to you live from the Buffer Auger Flow studio. We got the old school retro synthwave screensaver on. Things back to order. Manual sound effects still today. If you're looking to stay current on the top cyber news while hanging out with like-minded professionals, whether you're an entry-level analyst or a CISO, you have to stay current. Believe that. We're going to do all that and more in the next hour. Stay tuned. This is your Daily Cyber Threat Brief. All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. As I said, yes, over the next hour, we will go through the 8 top cyber stories of the day. I'll give you the headline and the surface level story that you'd get anywhere else, and then we're going to take a deep dive, get your scuba gear on, Scuba Steve, and we're going to go down deep into the weeds and get mining on additional insights, additional value. I have 20 plus years of experience in industry, multiple degrees. I love it. I love educating people, and I love cybersecurity. So we're going to find something for you in every story, a little nugget. At worst, just to be fully transparent, at worst, sometimes there's a story that has nothing to do with cyber because I don't pick the stories. And you'll at least get like a pretty good, what's the word I want to say, rabble-rousing around the story selection itself. So there's value in every single story. As I said, I don't pick the story, so I have no idea what's coming down the pike. That's part of the fun and charm of the show. I don't research or prep in advance. Ain't nobody got time for that. But what I do have time is for you and to help you be the best cyber professional you can be, your organization the best it can be, so on and so forth. So I hope you're down with the sickness. Of course, say hello and chat if you are here. This is a live chat feed directly above my head. Green font people are Simply Cyber Squad members. They have access to additional emotes and good times. It helps go support the channel. What's up, Mondo Avelia, Rick Kelly, Ad Tech, Port Zero, a.k.a. Ray W. Guys, blue badges all abound. I love it. Space Tacos, thank you so very much. James McQuiggan in the green room, or behind the glass, I should say. If you're here for the first time, whoa, hold on. James McQuiggan, 5 gifted subs. What? Did we just become best friends? Yep. Thank you, James McQuiggan. If you're one of the 5 new squad members, do check out the squad emo tray like Crucial End, Boldface, Bobby Coffee. You guys now have access to that tray. So get in there and giddy up all over it. If you're here for the first time, you might be wondering, hey, what's this all about? Well, first of all, thanks for checking us out. Second of all, sound off with a hashtag first timer in chat directly above me. If I don't see it, don't worry, because somebody will, and they're gonna do the John McClane emote. This is in your emote tray right here. Welcome to the party, pal, and we will welcome you to the party because we want everybody to feel included here. All right, cybersecurity is a tough industry, but it's also a warm, welcoming industry. So let us be the on-ramp into that social network of cyber professionals who are awesome into support, inclusion, and empowerment. Hashtag first timer in chat. Now, first timers, long timers, you guys all know that every single episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief is worth half a CPE. So go to cyberthreatbrief.simplycyber.io, the official website of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Quick shout out, you can add this to your calendar in case you show up late on the regular. But if you go to the top under CPE, Continuing Professional Education Credit, you can sign up right here, name and email address, 2 checkboxes and a yellow button. What does this get me, Jerry? Why should I spend my effort and energy filling out your stupid form? Well, thanks for asking, straw man. This is for episode 1181. Today's July 21st. That's right. You're basically signing a sign-in sheet for every episode. And when the first of the month comes around, I email you backwards the entire month of July in this instance. One email with a PDF certificate of attestation. It is absolutely awesome, and you can use that for however many CPEs you got for the month of July. You can get up to 120 CPEs a year if you're a daily subscriber of the show, which means you can crush your CPEs, no big deal. Now, every single episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief is made possible through the support, love of the show's sponsors. Want to say holla to Anti-Siphon Training in their InfoSec Age of AI Summit coming out August 14th. Just a few short weeks away, 21 days to be exact. On August 14th, coming off the heels of Black Hat's DEF CON, a 6.5-hour virtual summit, the comfort of your own home. You can wear your pink bunny slippers and drink as much coffee as you want. The bathrooms are as clean as you want them to be. 6.5 hours. I'm going to be there. Many community members will also be there because it's virtual. It is an anti-siphon production, but their community and their vibes are very similar to our own. In fact, many people, including myself, identify as members of the Black Hills anti-siphon community. So, you'll be surrounded by good people in addition to learning from some really, really smart industry experts. Look at this slugger's ball lineup that they've got set up here. All around AI, red team, blue team, logging, setup, the works. Come check it out. I'll drop a link in chat to it. And if you do go, tell them you're with Simply Cyber, or tell them Simply Cyber sent you. Again, it's part of the deal, right? Like, sponsors give money to sponsor the show so I can tell you about the cool stuff they're doing. But then if no one does anything with it, then they're like, well, why would we renew our sponsorship? It's stupid. So please, if you're going to go, mention it. It helps the program. I also want to say, holler, this one's coming a lot sooner. Flare Academy is doing a one-of novel experience on July 29th from 12 to 2. So just 5 days from today, 2 hour. They call it CTI SummerSlam. And it is exactly as awesome as it looks and as awesome as it sounds. It is free to sign up. Go ahead and sign up right here. Go to simplycyber.io/flare. Let me, first of all, simplycyber.io/flare. Let me tag. Oh my God, the chat's popping off. It's hard for me to pin this thing. Did I pin the right one? I don't know. I may have pinned a random comment. No, it's mine. So go to simplycyber.io/flare. 8 cyber researchers are going to take on the virtual court to talk through what they're seeing in the wild currently, and what it means for you as a defender on what to do. If you're a CISO, guys, understanding what is current in the threat landscape is going to help you make choices for your organization. And of course, they're going to have the help of me, Dr. Gerald Auger, in moderating the panels and awarding points. The session's designed to show you exactly what these researchers are tracking across the dark web. As I mentioned, I am literally the referee. I'm not speaking threat intelligence. I am judging and handing out red and yellow cards. There we are. It's so funny. I love it. I'm the man in the middle, refereeing all 6 segments and keeping things inbound and fun. No red cards, perhaps. We'll see. You'll have to show up and find out. All right. Every single day of the week, guys, has a special segment, and Fridays is long been known as James McQuiggan's Dad Joke Friday. James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet texts me several dad jokes first thing in the morning today. I don't look at them, and at the mid-roll, we read them together and get honest reactions in chat. Sometimes we laugh hysterically. Sometimes we groan. Either way, we always have a good time. So stay tuned for that. That's dropping at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So just about 21 minutes from now. Final little holla before we get into the stories. Let me tell you about another longtime sponsor. I am so blessed to have sponsors that are awesome. Flare is awesome. Anti-Siphon is awesome. Threat Locker is awesome. They're an enterprise-grade product. They host Zero Trust World. They are actively engaged in the community, and their product is really solid. Guys, threat actors can vibe code the crap out of malware nowadays using AI as tools. Having a defensive tool like ThreatLocker, which basically only allows approved software to run. And if you're like, so what? What does that mean? Think of all the software on your computer. You don't know half the stuff on your computer, but it's okay because it's there because, Microsoft provided it or Apple provided it. Now, think about the PowerShell payloads, the malware, the Trojan stealers, TrickBot, Emotet, friggin', Flim Flam, Dinky Dong. Like, they come up with all these stupid names all the time, right? It won't run. It won't run because it's not on the approved list of software. It's an absolute banger of a control. The reason this isn't the standard forever is because it's really difficult to do well. ThreatLocker cracked the code on that. Check them out. Let's hear from ThreatLocker, and then I'm going to get into the news. I want to give some love to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief sponsor, ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Well, worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com/dailycyber. There we go. All right, everybody, do me a favor. Sit back, relax. There's no first timers here, so we can let our hair down. We don't have to be on our best behavior for first timers. I'm joking. If you're a first timer who's lurking, who's like, oh my, like this one, like, oh my, oh. I'm just joking. We love our first timers. Everyone here was a first timer at one point, including me. All right, guys, sit back, relax, and let's let the cool sounds of the hot news, spicy, wash over us in an awesome wave. I'll see you at the mid-roll.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Friday, July 24th, 2026. I'm Steve Prentice. AI agents become fastest growing exposed attack surface. A new AI Security 2026 report from Sophos.
Hold on, we have a TJ says we have a first timer. Where's the first timer? I didn't see I usually see a smattering of John McClane. Man that grows. Okay. Thank you, TJ. And hold on, man. I don't see man that grows I can't tag man that grows in the chat. It's weird. Well, man that grows and any lurking first timers, welcome to the party. I guess man that grows wasn't down with the show. Let's go.
Warns that the rapid adoption of enterprise AI tools has created a major new cybersecurity risk: AI identities. As organizations give AI agents, coding assistants, and large language models privileged access to business systems, attackers are increasingly targeting their credentials, their OAuth tokens, and access permissions. Poor AI governance and weak identity controls leave enterprises vulnerable to data theft, ransomware, and even the manipulation of AI agents to carry out malicious actions. Sophos recommends treating AI agents like human users by enforcing least privilege access, requiring verification for expanded permissions, and monitoring AI identities for suspicious activity and unauthorized data exfiltration.
All right. So, listen, this literally should come as a surprise to no one. Like, if you are hearing this story and you're like, then you're on the right track. If you're hearing this story and you're like, what? I would challenge you to get a little bit more engaged on what is actually happening, because you could have seen this coming from a mile away. All right. So now this is a Sophos report. Sophos is an anti-malware solution company that personally probably will never be a sponsor on the show, because I think I think there are better options, I suppose is the best way to put it, on the market. But they're pointing out in their report here that AI agents are, they say, the fastest growing exposed attack surface. I suppose you could say that since AI agents are software technically. But here's the deal, guys. This is a perfect storm. AI agents, people are giving AI agents the utility to go do things. Like, think of a chatbot. That's probably like the easiest thing. A chatbot can speak to your customers. It can try to resolve problems. It can issue refunds. There was a very famous story of I think it was Canada Air. James McQuiggan lives on an airplane. He probably knows which airline it was, but there was a chatbot for an airline a couple years ago that issued like a full refund or like more than a full refund, and the person had to go to court because the company was like, no, we're not going to honor this. And it was like, your chatbot's representing you, so it should be. So AI agents, people are giving them all sorts of permission. It's literally a perfect storm. Businesses are giving them all sorts of permission. Lots of people in the business are able to create them. So you have this proliferation of shadow AI on top of it. 3, they're being given access to like all the things, because the more it is Air Canada confirmed, the more access to resources and systems you give the AI, the more powerful it is, right? I had OpenClaw running back here for a while, and it sucked because I wouldn't give it access to anything. So you've got over permissioned access to all the things, which is kind of like over permissioned. Shadow, people are standing it up without any type of like governance or onboarding workflows. And it can operate 24/7 with like its own agency. That's a mess. That's an absolute mess, because if a threat actor gains control of it, either directly by prompting the agent in some capacity or setting up things around the agent, so then the agent believes that its reality is whatever the threat actor's built, and it begins to take steps that way. Or you steal the creds of the agent, right? And you trying to operate under the AI agent's permissions. There's so many things here, which is why I get, oh, Jerry, you and your cybersecurity office are so like wet blanket. You don't like innovation. You can't hold my research and dev team down. We're being innovative. We're breaking walls. We're breaking eggs and making omelets up in this thing. Don't tell me how to run my AI agents. Well, guess what's going to happen? A threat actor is going to run your AI agent. This is 100% true. Now, I would not. Fastest growing exposed attack surface is a very, legal thing. Like, it's not subjective because it is a measured metric, but fastest growing. So if it was like 1% last week and it's 2% now, it's doubled. You know what I'm saying? You can do, listen, if you've ever taken a statistics course or studied sports, you can do a lot of funny things with statistics to make them say whatever you want. The TLDR for everyone here is you should be educating your workforce around agents. You should have some type of AI governance program. And like, this is where when people talk about like what's governance and like what's the tone at the top, like I don't get it. Here's like a real example. You should think through, what is the punishment for people not adhering to your AI governance policies, right? Do they get fired? Like, let's go extreme. Do they get fired if they stand up something without going through proper protocols? I don't know. Do they get, a demerit or whatever? Like it comes up at performance time. I don't know. But I will tell you, whatever you do decide, it has to be consistent. You can't have Jan in finance get punished and, Todd, who's like CEO's bro, not get punished, right? You gotta be consistent. But this right here, this AI agent thing, I'm telling you right now, It's a thing. It's going to be a big thing. It's going to continue to be a big thing. By the way, the final thing, the only reason it's going to continue to grow and be a massive problem is because it can recklessly proliferate. That's the problem. It can recklessly proliferate.
Consumer finance company Upbound Group blames data breach for millions in losses. The company, which offers lease-to-own and flexible payment solutions through brands like Rent-A-Center, stated in a filing with the SEC that, quote, non-sensitive customer information and other documents were recently obtained by hackers, end quote. This stolen information was, quote, subsequently used to facilitate fraudulent lease-to-own agreements, contributing to elevated fraudulent contract losses of approximately $13 million during the second quarter of 2026, end quote. However, no known cybercrime group appears to have listed the company on its leak website as of yet.
All right. This is weird. Like, so this company is a publicly traded company, which is why it had to file this thing according to SEC requirements. They had $13 million in fraudulent contract losses, meaning hackers broke into their company, stole a bunch of non-sensitive information, which you can, you want to talk about a subjective term. You tell me what non-sensitive mean, right? Is your phone number sensitive? Is your email sensitive? Is your address sensitive? Is the last 5 things you bought sensitive? Is your signature sensitive? It sounds like they had all those things. But the threat actors were able to effectively earn $13 million committing this crime. What is peculiar about this to me is that normally, I'm not calling cyber criminals lazy, but normally it's a pretty short A to B. You commit A crime and you get B money. This seems like an A to B to C, where they committed A crime, then created fake contracts with victims B, and then like fraudulently tricked them to get money C. So like normally you don't see them going through so much effort. Now, having said that, I'm not a criminal. I don't want anyone to be a criminal in this capacity, okay? But what I will say is, for $13 million, I don't know about you guys, but for $13 million, I would go ABCD. Like, I'd be willing to go 2 hops extra for $13 million. I've never even sniffed $13 million, let alone looked at it. So, of course, one interesting thing to me here is that if you're committing fraudulent contracts with victims, dude, I'm not going to, like, with all due respect, I'm not going to Rent-A-Center and renting a 75-inch flat screen TV and paying in crypto. You know what I mean? So these criminals definitely, I would assume, were getting, fiat or US dollars from the victims, right? It's just, and dude, they probably had to do a lot of victims, right? Like, I mean, unless you're like targeting large businesses, like say a business that rents like a bar, like a sports bar that rents like 30 TVs. I don't even know if that's the model for a sports bar versus just buying them. Anyways, this seems like a lot of squeezing and a little bit of juice coming out, but hey, there you go, 13 million bucks. The one thing, there's 2 things I will give you out of this story that are additional value. Number one, again, take it with a grain of salt that it says non-sensitive, but number one, you could flag this story for yourself or drop it in your own AI tool to remember for you. But this is an example where non-sensitive information led to financial losses. So if you suffer a data breach at your organization, here's the reality. If you suffer a data breach at your organization and you're a CISO or director or whatever, you are definitely going to be involved in a meeting that happens before anything goes public. And the meeting's basically going to be like, how screwed are we? How do we spin this? What do we do? What do we do? And if anyone in the room is like, well, it's just non-sensitive information, it's not a big deal, it's just like, whatever, who cares? You can just be like, actually, I don't recommend you do it that way. But you could be like, that's not exactly true, ma'am. Upbound Group in 2026 suffered $13 million in losses from a breach of non-sensitive customer information. I can pull the story and send it to you if you'd like. Or don't even say that. Just immediately then fire it off to them just to keep them in check. Finally, they just kind of throw it in here. It says a longtime cyber executive started hacker in a hoodie index. I don't even know what this means. Can we get okay, Richard Bird, Chief Strategy and Chief Security Officer at Enterprise AI Governance Singular AI. Where's the hacker in a hoodie index? Come on, let's go. Here we go. Here's a new tool to play with, guys. Hold on one second. New tool alert. New tool alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hold on. Let me get my siren. New tool alert. Giddy up on this thing. Dropped it in chat. Measured as a return, cybercrime loss has outpaced the S&P 500 by more than 5-1. Meaning, by the way, really quickly, this is absolutely despicable, but like if you could invest in cyber criminal threat actors, you'd be making 5x on a standard investment portfolio. Again, I don't recommend you do that, but I do want to point out this was written by an executive, Richard Bird. And can I just point out, this is all financially related. If you're ever going to talk to executives about anything, or if you yourself are trying to become an executive and you just can't break through, it's probably because you're not speaking the language. You've got to speak in dollars, okay? That's it. This is a cool little resource. Thank you, Richard Bird. We'll just pretend he's in chat.
Dolphin X Stealer uses AI profiling to prioritize targets. According to researchers at Varonis Threat Labs, a newly discovered Windows info stealer and remote access Trojan named Dolphin X is, quote, using an AI-powered profiling system to help cybercriminals identify their most valuable victims, end quote. The researchers describe its standout feature as an AI profiler that automatically ranks infected users based on factors such as application usage, browsing activity, and installed software, assigning scores to these victims, which allows attackers to quickly identify those most likely to provide valuable access or data. This is then packaged as a daily summary to help cybercriminals boost their productivity.
All right. I mean, this is gross, but hat tip, nod to the threat actors. Guys, everybody's got a cool AI use case, including threat actors. Listen, I'm going to make this a commercial. Have you spent long nights and weekends scrubbing through Excel files, trying to identify who you should target on Monday? Well, no more dealing with that. With Dolphin X Stealer, you can sort those profiles by most valuable target and really get after that victim on Monday morning. Enjoy your weekend doing whatever it is that threat actors like to do, because on Monday morning, you're going for the gold. And then it's like a slow motion, like, Olympic runner type thing. And then the threat actor, runs through the thing and like shoves a USB drive into the computer at the very end. That's basically what this thing's doing. That's what this thing's doing. Dude, forever, threat actors have, this is why they have C2. A threat actor will send out a phishing email to like 10,000 people, and 1,000 people will click on it or do the click fix and install malware on themselves, right? A dropper with a PowerShell cradle, and then you own them, okay? And then it reports into C2. Now, think about time. Oh my God, I was so successful to infect 1,000 people, but now I have to painstakingly go through each one. How do I know who's valuable? For years, you would probably just look at the domain name. Is this a domain I recognize? Like, for the Active Directory domain. Because like when you compromise an endpoint, or not you, but like when a endpoint gets compromised, it usually will dump all the system information as well and send it back to C2. So you can see who's the user account, what's the domain. So if you see something like Bank of America or Chewy.com or friggin' whatever, I don't know, give me something valuable, FordMotor.com or whatever. I'm not a Ford guy. I've been driving Chevys for like 30 years. But my point is, that's the manual, like, introduce AI. Dude, it can look at like, all right, hey, this person uses Chrome, and we can look at their history tab, and they're looking at Gucci websites and Range Rover websites, and they spent 2 hours on Porsche.com. Let's go get them. They probably have disposable income, right? Or they were on H&R Block's website and, whatever, like 5 different investment, or they're at the Yahoo Finance website, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Versus like my son, who probably is at Minecraft for like 23 and a half hours a day and then 30 minutes on brain rot videos. Threat actor can deprioritize that one. This is actually brilliant. And just really quickly, like to put a better spin on this one, if you are a business person or you are a salesperson, you're obviously not going to infect your prospects' computers, but any information you can get on your ideal ICP, your ideal customer profile, you can use AI to help target who you should spend the most time on to get the biggest returns on investment. This is a time-saving thing. That's it. That's all it is. And by the way, can I just point out something disgusting? All right. Just so people are like, I used to be a big old privacy, like whatever, like I don't have anything to hide. Let me tell you something that I've learned over my many years and gray hairs. Profiling is done all over the place. Let me take you on a little ride. Everybody here can agree that airplane tickets are like some of the most fluid, dynamic prices there are, right? You log in today, it's $700 to fly to Vegas. You log in tomorrow, it's $900. You log in the morning, it's $600. You log in the afternoon, peak time, lunchtime, it's $1,000. Okay, the airline companies know this, and they are using the AI too, not just to price it during the day, but also for you. When you log in with your account on Delta.com or wherever, believe me, you are an absolute. You're being obtuse if you don't think that they're buying tons of data and know where you sit financially. So like a $2,000 ticket's going to be prohibitive for me to buy, but like $1,000 ticket, yeah, I've got means I can buy $1,000 ticket. Somebody else who maybe trying to make $1 out of 15 cents could buy the same ticket for like $600. It's like they do algorithm checks to figure out what's the maximum amount that this person's likely to pay for a flight and how close is the event. Like for me buying tickets to Vegas, they know I'm probably going to Black Cat because they probably have all that information. They've seen me do it before. It's gross, dude. It's gross. It's called dynamic pricing. They're actually doing this at Walmart too, by the way. Yeah, I think AAS4391 screaming that in chat. It's gross, dude. Can you imagine walking down the aisle and the person in front of you has one price, and then when you go to grab a loaf of bread, it's like 40 cents more? You might be like, well, who cares about 40 cents? Well, when you have an entire basket of groceries, it's going to matter. Anyway, sorry I digress, but like this is very interesting.
Origin Energy suffers cyber attack. The Australian power utility says that its customers' addresses, phone numbers, and partial bank account data were accessed in a hack. The company has nearly 5 million customer accounts in Australia and provides electricity, LPG, liquid petroleum gas, and internet services to homes and businesses. Representatives have yet to confirm how many customers have been affected, saying they will inform each customer once stolen data has been confirmed as stolen. According to The Guardian, a person claiming to be the hacker has, quote, reportedly contacted media outlets with unverified claims that 2 million customers' details were accessed, end quote.
All right. Hacker got one of the larger energy companies' data set. Again, anytime an Australian company of any size gets hacked, I immediately want to pound the desk and scream, are they going to have to pay the fine? A couple years ago, for those who are longtime squad members or longtime Simply Cyber community members, you know this. A couple years ago, Australia got punched in the mouth like two times in a row. Like one was like a healthcare company, and one was a telecom company. And then they passed immediate legislation saying that like if you get hacked, you get a huge financial fine. And at the time I was like, that is the dumbest thing ever. Like, you can't stop it. You can only manage the impact of it. And then immediately, like, someone got hacked and they did not hit him with the fine. And I was like, So I always bring it up. Okay, so large company claims that they haven't come forward and said confirmed or deny it, but a person claiming to be the hacker is reaching out to media outlets. I would assume that they're trying to ransom them, which is why they would reach out. Listen, a hacker claiming or someone calling news media outlets claiming that they're the hacker they have two motivations. Either one, they are the actual hacker and they're trying to put pressure on the victim organization in order to get paid because they're more covert communications with the company is not resulting in money, right? So like I hack you, I send you a note and say, give me $1 million, and you either decline to respond or you tell me to go pound sand. Well, what do I have left? Now I need to like escalate it so I can get pressure on you. So that's likely what happened here. The other reason is if this person wants notoriety, they're trying to like flex in front of their peer group. They're trying to make a name for themselves, whatever. That's the other reason. If I had to guess, it's the money. It's all about the money. All right. All right. The CEO of the company, you don't see this often. Usually it's the chief information security officer or chief security officer who does the speaking. So they do things differently down under. Frank Calabria said the company was securing the systems and ensuring no further unauthorized access, English spelling. And then he said, I'm sorry this happened. Another thing you don't see executives do, he literally apologized for the issue. You don't see that. Usually you see a lot of tap dancing. Dude, way to go. So they don't know how it happened. They're doing everything they can incident response wise, and there's been no negative consequences from it. It is what it is. The one thing I would say here, I'll say this. When you're doing tabletop exercises for adverse events, which you should be doing, you should have IT ones and then executive leadership ones. For the executive leadership one, when you have a situation and you talk about, should we do this? Should we do that? What do you think? The press is calling, the threat actor messaged us, whatever. You could file this, like flag this story as an example and say, hey, you want to make a public statement, or do we want to make a public statement? And let's say the executive team says, yes, we want to make a public statement. The next thing you have to say is what is in that statement? What is not in that statement, right? Do we want to disclose how the hack happened? Do we want to disclose when it happened? Do we want to disclose who it was? Like all these things. Do we want to say what kind of data assets were compromised? And then I would say, well, do you want to apologize? There's been case study. This Australian multi-million-dollar company had a breach. The CEO apologized. How does that resonate with you as a team? Is this something we want to do? I know it's something very specific, but it is a data point. And I'm telling you, I've covered hundreds of these stories, if not thousands. And I can't remember the last time I saw like what I would consider a genuine apology. A lot of times it's just like a PR press release that says, we take your data and security and privacy seriously, and we're going to do better. It's a regrettable situation. Like no one ever owns it. It's always just like, well, that sucks.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, Quiller AI. AI agents don't ask permission. They
Holy
act.
crap, only 298
Moving
people
data,
in chat?
triggering workflows, changing systems.
People must have slept in today.
Quiller AI is the permission layer that they never had. Its decision engine evaluates the content, context, and intent of every action before it completes. Alerts tell you later. Quiller AI decides now. Visit Quiller AI, that is QUILR.ai. Stay safe. Quiller it.
Daniel Lowry has entered the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Just thinking of Daniel Lowry really quickly, I want everyone to know Simply Cyber has a DEF CON meetup on Friday, August 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. Stay tuned for details. Subscribe to the channel or subscribe to my LinkedIn feed. We're going to be spamming it out. You will have to register because we have to do a population control because there's a fire marshal head count thing. But the reason I say Daniel Lowry, there was some feedback last year that they wish there was more non-alcoholic beverages available for, I guess, Gen Z. But we heard you, and we're working on getting like a pallet of Monster Energy drinks. I figured Monster Energy was a safe bet. So Daniel Lowry, if you're going to be there, you can do a live fresh pour, and we can make it an entire experience for everybody. All right, here we go. All right, guys. Hey, thank you again to the stream sponsors. Love the support that they show so I can focus on the news and delivering entertaining value to you guys. Every single day of the week has a special segment, and Fridays is none other than James McQuiggan's Dad Jokes of the Week. I got to, just so everybody knows, this is one of the oldest. This is actually the oldest running segment on the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. People may not know this, but originally, let me take you down memory lane. Originally, at the very onset of the show, Mondays was Callan's Art of the Week. My son, Callan, my kids wanted to be part of the show. So I said, all right, Callan, you're very artistic. You can make some art. And on Mondays, we'll show it at the mid-roll. And then Grayson wanted to do Jokes of the Week because Grayson's an entertainer. So we did it, and then my kids lost interest. So Mondays, we just got rid of the art altogether. And then James said, I'll do the Jokes of the Week. So we picked it up. So it is officially the longest running segment in the show. Thank you, James McQuiggan. All right, everybody, here we go. And by the way, if you remember Callan's Art of the Week or Grayson's Joke of the Week, shout out to you because you are absolutely an OG's. You're an OG's OG. All right, here we go. James McQuiggan's Jokes of the Week. Everybody get ready. If you're a first timer, let me know in chat, please. Even if you already said first timer, would love to know if this is your first James McQuiggan Joke of the Week experience. Here we go. This is involving camping. Let us know in chat if you like camping. I don't camp often. I own a ton of camping gear. I love camping. In fact, if we move to Georgia, I might just go camping on my property, which is sick. All right. Where do sheep like to camp? Oh, my God. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know if I can do this, guys. I don't know if I can do this. I might have to start reading these jokes in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, where do sheep like to camp? Where do sheep like to camp? The one and only place that you will find sheep camping in mass, the Bahamas. Oh, God. All right, next question. Jesus, my eyes, bro. Where do birds like to go camping? Okay, so we're going to run the entire animal kingdom here on preference of camping locations. Where do birds like to go camping? The Canary Islands. The Canary Islands. And finally, guys, get back to nature. And let me ask you, why do trees have so many friends, right? A lot of people love to hug trees. A lot of people love to protect the trees. The redwoods out in the western part of the United States are gorgeous. Why do trees have so many friends, y'all? Because they branch out. They branch out. Take it from a tree, ladies and gentlemen. Build your professional network. Branch out. Oh, we got a bonus question. I'm sorry, I missed this one. Where do cows like to go camping? We've got all the animals: birds, sheep, cows. Where do the cows like to sheep? I mean, where do cows like to go camping? Cows do enjoy apples too, so they go camping in New York City, probably upstate New York. All right. Oh my God. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, James McQuiggan will be at the Daily Cyber Threat. James, you're going to be at Simply Cyber DEF CON meetup. I think people are going to want to speak to you. All right. Let's get back to the news and finish strong, y'all.
Extortion group claims responsibility for Japanese food logistics cyber attack. Following up on a story we covered last week, Japan's largest refrigerated logistics company, Nishire Logistics Group, is restoring operations after a cyber attack that disrupted food deliveries nationwide. The cybercrime group Ransom House has come forward and is threatening to leak the data it stole. The group placed Nishire's name on its dark web leak site and urged the company to make contact. In a note addressed to, quote, Dear Management of Nishire, end quote, the note expressed frustration at the company's refusal to cooperate.
All right. Let's see here. We read about this. This is a huge supply chain company. So I feel like this is definitely one of those companies that we don't think about, but they're critically important to like operations. Japanese food logistics, like basically any frozen food, you see the Cisco trucks unloading at restaurants in the morning. Like they have to be picking it up from somewhere, and it's these large warehouses that are like large refrigerators. One of those companies got hacked recently and was all screwed up. Now, their operations was fine. It was the like logistics part of where things were going and who paid what. That was what was screwed up. It's not attributed to any particular threat actor. Shiny Hunters is like an easy guess, but Shiny Hunters is pretty quick to point out when they hack somebody, especially if they don't step up. I'm an idiot. Ransom House actually took responsibility of it. So Ransom House did it. This is a pretty common thing. So when an organization isn't going to play with the threat actors, what they will do is they'll just go mum and not come out publicly. So then the threat actor always comes out and says, like, we're the threat actor who has it, and here's the official, leak or whatever. So that's what happened here. So who wrote this? Oh, the Ransom House people wrote, Dear Management of whatever, we're waiting for you, whatever. All right. So here's the deal. It sounds like this company is just going to deal with recovery. They had good cybersecurity in place, good backups, good business continuity, good resiliency, and they're keeping on, and they're not going to pay. So the Ransom House gang, they basically did their work and they're not getting paid. Right? That's basically it. So, way to go, people at people at this Japanese food logistics company doing cybersecurity right. This is an example where you can suffer a massive cyber attack and not be a full victim, right? They're still a victim. They're still suffering, right? It's not a question of that. They're still suffering, but they're not going to have to, they're choosing not to pay the ransom. Likely because they're not screwed over from a business operations perspective.
Swiss train maker Stadler Rail refuses to pay ransom.
Okay.
Following an attack that happened just recently in mid-July, the company stated, quote, under no circumstances will Stadler pay a ransom and therefore cannot be extorted, end quote. The Everest ransomware group claimed responsibility and in an extortion letter demanded 10 million Swiss francs, approximately 12.3 million US dollars. Stadler said it has filed a criminal complaint and will not negotiate with the hackers. The company added the breach did not affect its own systems and all production sites remain fully operational. Quote, the stolen information consisted of technical documents belonging to a third-party supplier and were obtained after credentials for the data exchange platform were compromised, end quote.
Threat actors are not hacking in, they're logging in. So this is a nice, basically, you guys know the the gift baskets from Harry and David. Harry and David gift basket. Hold on. Let me just pull a random one up. Harry David gift basket, okay? Right here. So like I'm just randomly selecting one. This is a Harry and David gift basket. We've got some pretzels, some popcorn, and some cookies, a little pepper onion jelly. There's a little bit of something here for everybody. That's what's happening in this story. Let me explain. This particular instance had threat actor steal credentials and log into a data transfer platform. So now we've got, basically credential stealing and logging in, not hacking in. That would be your pepper jelly. Okay, that's your pepper and onion jelly. Now, on top of that, this is a third-party breach, right? So Stadler, the Swiss train maker, and their secret, blueprints or whatever, they did nothing wrong. It's a third party that they contracted with. Maybe they contracted with this company to like, whatever, do the engineering on the, like, do the math on the load of the engine on the tracks to see if it would be like aerodynamic or whatever. Some third party, they are the ones who gave the credentials up. They're the ones who resulted in the hack. So supply chain related hack, third party risk. That would be the chocolate cookie in the back right there, or the Moose Crunch popcorn stuff. All right. They're not going to pay. Well, and it's Everest ransomware gang. So it's a ransomware story. Think that is the brownies in the back. Thank you very much, Harry and David. And they're being asked to pay $12 million ransom, which, by the way, my guy, dude, average ransom demand 2025, the median ransom demand in 2025 was $1.3 million. I knew it was going to be low. All right. Everest ransomware coming off the top rope with the people's elbow of $12.3 million ransom. Guys, listen, in business, there is a point where like, oh, I just want to negotiate. Listen, if you go into a job interview and they're like, what's your salary expectations? And like, that a reasonable pay band is like $70,000 to $100,000, right? So if you say $100,000, they're going to negotiate with you down or whatever. If you come into that job interview and you're like, yeah, no, I think this job's perfect. My salary expectations is $2 million. They're going to be like, all right, well, thanks for coming in. We'll see you later. Like, you can blow it out so much that it's not even worth, like, you end the conversation. And I suspect that's part of what's happening here because, dude, $12.3 million, like, greedy. Anyway, so ransomware and then not paying the ransom. That's your final piece in this thing, which is basically just the dry crackers that you would have to put some kind of like cheese or a meat, sliced cured meat on. All right. Oh, okay. So Everest changed their tune. They later changed their demand to 10 million Swiss francs. Is that, hold on. Is that the same amount? Oh yeah, $12.3 million. Never mind. I just didn't know the conversion rate. So I guarantee if I had to guess, guys, all right, hold on. Let me just do this. I have a hot take here. Let me just do MITRE ATT&CK. I'm going to look up Everest Cyber Threat Actor Group. I want to see what country they're from. Definitely. If I'm going to guess, Everest. Okay. I'm going to guess Eastern Europe. Everest ransomware gang. Location, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so they're active since 2020 and they're tracked as a Russian speaking cyber syndicate. Okay, so as I suspected, this is an Eastern European threat actor group. And dude, I'm telling you, I don't think they understood like who they had or whatever. $10 million, 10 million Swiss francs. That's literally just a round number. I suspect whoever did this, I might even go as far as to suspect it was like a junior member of the gang. It was like, I don't know, 10 million? Sounds good. Sounds round. not thinking that they've overshot their, like, they shoot their shot, they overshot it by like a watt. All right. Now, for what it's worth, they do $5 billion in annual revenue. So it's actually not that outrageous, but still, um, it sounds like they're not going to get anything. This particular threat, this particular victim also had a $6 million ransom in 2020, and they refused to pay then. So, should have done their homework, dude. If they didn't pay a $6 million one before, you think they're going to pay a $12 million one now? All right, here's what I would say. As always, these are real numbers and real values, so you can further enrich your tabletop exercises with, hey, we got hit with a ransom. Threat actor is demanding $12 million. Do we pay it? Yes or no? And you could say, like, it's Everest, right? Like, whatever. And if you really wanted to get fancy pants, this is like the final thing I'll say on this. If you want to get fancy, what you do is you find a threat actor that is targeting your specific industry, right? So if you're working in healthcare, you go look at like Ransom Hub, or if you're looking at hospitality, you look at Shiny Hunters, right? And then look at their TTPs on MITRE ATT&CK Framework and build your scenarios around that. And then you can use the same exact scenario for the management part of the exercise and the IT part of the exercise. Do not make the mistake of trying to be, I don't want to call it lazy, but trying to be efficient and have the IT and the management in the same session, even if it's the same scenario, because you can't speak to those two audiences simultaneously and not have you just can't do that, actually.
Kratos, phishing as a service kit, taken down by law enforcement.
Kratos.
German authorities say they have, quote, neutralized the main infrastructure supporting the Kratos phishing as a service kit following an operation supported by the US and Indonesia, end quote. Kratos, spelled Kratos, has been described as one of the most widespread and dangerous phishing as a service kits on the market. Indonesian authorities said they arrested the Kratos kit's alleged developer and technical administrator. Kratos allowed low-skill cybercriminals to, quote, harvest credentials, including passwords and session cookies, to bypass MFA by providing them with convincing Microsoft-themed phishing pages, end quote.
All right, I mean, this is a win for all of us, dude. Phishing as a service platform gets taken down. Sounds like a win for all of us. Again, these platforms are very, very popular. Oh, hold on. Again, I'm doing manual sound effects today because I'm terrified of touching my soundboard. Regulators! Mount up. All right, get your Chief Wiggum going here. They did take down this. Did they arrest somebody? That's the next question I want to ask. They arrested the Kratos kit's alleged developer and technical admin, which is great. Here's the thing. If you're going to be successful as law enforcement, you have to arrest the ringleaders and you have to take down the actual infrastructure. It sounds like they did that in both of these, in this case, which is phenomenal. 1,800 different criminal enterprises uses the Kratos platform, resulting in 15,000 phishes per month, which is not that many if you think about it. But dude, this guy was running a pretty successful business. He had 1,800 clients, if you will. Low level. These phishing as a service platform, dude. It's like clicking, it basically reduces the barrier for a criminal to be a criminal. And this guy is just running a business as a business. Anyone who steals login creds online using fake websites shouldn't feel safe. Good. Ugh. Yeah, these phishing, here's the deal. If a threat actor is using a phishing as a service platform, that's fine. They're going to do it. This is why you get in front of the kill chain all the way to the left. Educate your end users. Hey, this is what a phish looks like. Don't fall for it. Hey, take a hot second and read these things. Also, if you're a business of any size, you should be using some type of email security gateway. Even if you're a small business like old two thumbs, big smile Jerry guy over here, like I use Google Workspaces. Google's got a pretty decent spam filtering, phish filtering, malware filtering engine in their email. Like, put some protections in place. If you think you're like the most clever person on the street by running your own round cube mail server with zero security protections around phishing and phishing quarantine, guess what? You can be clever all the way over there. Like, actually, off my property, be clever, because I don't want anything to do with that radioactive situation. Okay. Email security stops emails from coming in, educating your end users for the ones that do get through to not click on it. And then, of course, if you really want to get spicy, endpoint detection and response anti-malware solution. So if they do fall for the fish, if it's pulling down malware, it doesn't run. If they're giving up their creds, that's a different problem altogether. And hopefully you've got identity and access management controls in place around conditional access or whatever. But once the creds are gone, you're going to have a shiny hunters type situation. Even where's the Swiss one? The Swiss story right here, right? $12 million Everest ransomware. This started with some person at a third party falling for a fish and giving up their creds. This is how it starts, man. Right? Get in front of it. Get in front of it.
Nuclear sabotage malware benchmark trips up most frontier AI models. Sentinel-1 has created what it describes as the first long-horizon benchmark for evaluating AI-assisted malware reverse engineering using its investigation of the FAST16 malware as a real-world test. FAST16, a 2005 Windows malware believed to have targeted Iran's nuclear program, served as a complex challenge requiring AI models to revise conclusions as new evidence emerged. Among the models tested, GPT 5.6 Sol was the only one to successfully complete all 8 investigation stages. However, researchers emphasized that even the strongest AI made significant technical mistakes, concluding that experienced human reverse engineers remain essential to validate findings, correct errors, and oversee final analysis.
All right. A couple things here. Number one, this word remain makes me nauseous. First of all, senior reverse engineers, so most talented, remain essential, as if this was some type of temporal element. So until further notice, they'll remain essential. But to me, it kind of infers that this is for now. Okay. All right. Here's the deal. This is great exercise. Sentinel-1's doing this. Sentinel-1's a great EDR platform. They also do research like all the other ones. And they're testing AI models on, it says nuclear sabotage malware. I feel like they did that deliberately just to be very splashy with a headline. What they're doing in this instance is taking AI and using it to automatically do reverse engineering on malware. What's this malware do? What does it look like? What are the IOCs? How do we stop it? Does it have any type of anti-analysis type techniques? Does it have, self-kill capabilities, etc., right? So the idea would be you take a piece of malware and you dump it into this tool and it tells you what's up. I love it. Okay. We use tools like AnyRun. I like AnyRun. Some people like Triage. These are dynamic sandbox malware detonation solutions. Very effective. You put a piece of malware in, you run it, and you can see all the things. Dynamic, and I've done reverse engineering, okay? Dynamic analysis and static analysis are basically like the two ways to do it. There's a third way, but it's a lot like dynamic. Dynamic analysis gives you all the details, all the receipts, if you will, because the malware has to run. It has to create processes. It has to reach out for network connections and CPU and pull downs and stuff, right? Static analysis is slower and there's obfuscation and stuff like that, but static analysis is safer because you're not detonating it on the endpoint. With this particular AI, it's kind of cool because you could drop static analysis and it could do the whole things. Certainly a very strong use case. I would imagine there's going to be some type of market for malware analysis AI tooling. Now, the final thing I'll say on this is malware analysis and reverse engineering is very time consuming. In fact, there's a reason I love doing it. It is fun as hell to play with malware and reverse it and everything like that. By the way, just a disclaimer, do not futz with malware if you don't know what you're doing. You can easily infect yourself. But my point is, the reason most of us don't do it in a corporate setting is because it's incredibly time consuming. What you do is identify malware, delete it, re-image the machine if you have to, and keep on moving because you've got 15 other fires to put out. You don't get the luxury of having to do reversing, which is why any run's cool because you can throw it in there, and within 30 seconds, you have more telemetry on what the heck's going on. This right here would be cool. AI loses context over long horizons. That's something that people are working on at the AI companies. They mentioned Soul, one of these new models, can hold context over long periods of time. Great. I'm sure it's going to get better. Whatever. Let's keep cooking. All right. I think that's going to do it, actually. All right, that does it for Daily Cyber Threat Brief Podcast. I was your host, Dr. Gerald Auger. I hope you guys got some value from the show. I hope you got entertained. Come back Monday morning. We got it going on. But right now, we're going to be flipping over to Cyber Career Hotline. It's Friday, which means we got a panel coming for y'all, and this is going to be good. Stay tuned. This is a hidden show. Bring your questions, get answers. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. Until 15 seconds from now, stay secure. All right, hold on.
I'm Dr. Gerald Auger. This is the Cyber Career Hotline. If you're building a career in cybersecurity, this show is for you. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody, welcome to the party. I am Dr. Gerald Auger. Wait, the ooze. What's up, everybody? It's Jerry Guy coming at you live. I got a cup of coffee and an attitude, and I'm going to be getting after both of them. It is Friday, which means we have a panel, which is all about good times. Let me introduce the panel really quickly. I thought Sean Kilborn and his co-workers were going to join us, but I'm not. It doesn't look like it. Stay tuned for that. But we've got an absolute slugger's ball lineup for you. This is basically, I don't know what year it is, 1933 New York Yankees or 1917, whatever. The old-timey Yankees where they had like everybody somehow. Ladies and gentlemen, James McQuiggan at 35,000.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to see you.
And I'm off mute.
Yes, you're off mute. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a strong response from the community last week demanding, or 2 weeks ago, was it maybe, demanding Jack Scott return. James McQuiggan open field tackled her like Terry Tate, the Office linebacker. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Scott.
Woo!
Hey,
All right.
woo! I love you guys.
Good to see you, Jax. And of
Always
course,
great to see you.
holding down the anchor, a regular, ladies and gentlemen, Fleetus posting the third. Hey, Fleetus.
Yo.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. So if you're new here and you're not familiar with the protocol, put your questions in chat with a Q, and I will facilitate them to our wildly intelligent panel. Jax, I'm just going to kind of rip it off right here. You are doing a lot with AI right now. This last story was about these kind of like, they're improving on the time horizon. Now, they were talking about malware reverse engineering. Take that aside. What are you seeing with the horizons? Like when you give AI a challenge and you leave it very open-ended and it goes a long period of time, like are you seeing that you have to interface with it frequently to keep it on track, or are you seeing improvements over the horizons?
Yeah. Okay. Such a good question. I think with Fable 5 coming out, that's the most recent model for Claude Anthropic for anybody out there. And it was a limited use, but they keep extending it, which is kind of ironic. But with Fable 5, what I have noticed just from 6 months ago to now, and I'm a heavy, I would call myself a super user of AI. It's night and day. Just in 6 months of being able to prompt, the biggest difference is that you'll give it a prompt. I'm pretty good at prompt engineering because there's a framework for it. But if I'm like running short on time and I just say, hey, go and audit this CRM that I created, I need you to take an agent, do an audit, it will do things and come back with responses I never even considered. So that's where the biggest changes I'm seeing with Fable 5 is it's already thinking ahead of me, which is kind of terrifying because I consider myself a pretty critical thinker and a good prompt engineer. But I've noticed just in the last month how much stronger it's getting to be able to think intellectually. My opinion on Fable 5.
There you go. So we're getting a push for Fable 5. People in chat, I know we got some AI experts in chat. If you got any thoughts around that or the other models, I will tell everybody I may be making a video coming up very soon. I actually proposed it yesterday, making a video showing you these open models on Hugging Face and how you can use them. So I'm going to make a video and potentially where I take one of these models on open face and I show you my screen and I show you me loading it and then using it to do vulnerability analysis over my own source code. So kind of a crawl, walk, run model program, because we talk a lot about using AI to find vulnerabilities and bolster your code, but why not show it and let people understand how the hell to do it? That's what I plan on doing. So stay tuned for that. If you have questions, put them in chat with a Q. We have an absolute panel. DJ Bisek has joined us. Bisek, I thought you had a flight in a half hour.
No, it's a 12.
Oh, all right. This guy. I had lunch with DJ Bisek yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. So that's very cool. We had awesome. Tacos. Literally tacos. I always joke about tacos in chat, but it is.
Hey, one quick thing on the AI of Fable. You were talking about Hugging Face. 5.6 Soul is what actually got out of everything and went into Hugging Face. And if somebody's going to run a local model, you want to make sure that you got enough power. Because even though you think you have enough power, you may pull down a 4 gig model and it's going to take about 30 gigs on your machine to run.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you for that tip. Daniel Santiago says, I have an interview for a tier 3 risk expert with a focus in tech control assessments. Their framework is NIST 800, he says 583. I assume he means 853, which is not really a framework, Daniel, just to point that out. 37 is the framework. 53 is just a dictionary of controls. But what would be probed most in the technical portion? Chat, if you guys think you want to answer this, put it in private chat. I'll just take a quick little hit on this one. For the technical portion, it's more of a risk perspective. So they probably would be talking about technical controls that would deliver value, like higher value controls, like one control that has risk reduction across multiple dimensions. So probably like firewalls, EDR, MFA, SIM, and security operations stuff, network architecture, security architecture, those type of things, I think would be in there. I would definitely quickly note out 2 things from your question just to make sure you're clear. It's NIST 800-53, and that's not the framework. That's just a dictionary of controls, all right? Anybody else want to chime in on how Daniel can crush this interview?
I'll add to what you just said, Jerry. As a senior leader in this space, one of the things I would want to know if you're a candidate is, do you understand risk management within the NIST framework? What does that mean? And that ties into what Jerry was saying with understanding the set controls that go into that. And what are the key, if you had to prioritize controls, what would those key controls that you would prioritize in the first 30 to 60 days if you were rolling out a risk management, or if you were assessing what they already had in place?
There you go. Also worth noting, we have a video on the channel that we just released, Daniel, where I answer, there's 3 questions you'll likely be asked in this interview, or potentially. One of them you definitely will be asked at the end when they're like, do you have any questions for us? Those common questions I give answers to and how you can handle those questions effectively. So definitely take advantage of that as well. Roswell UK, I had an interview yesterday and I asked literally, what's your tolerance for dad jokes? How do you think that went down? Okay.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Okay. I feel like Roswell UK abuses the put the Q in front and I won't read it. I'll just
It's just like when you read the dad jokes for the first time on Fridays.
Carrie's got a dad joke here. What drinks do AI enjoy? Java? All right. Thank you, Carrie. Love it. All right. Continuing here. I think this might be a real question. JT Gorman. Hey, Jerry, I had my first IR walkthrough today. Is there anything I should know beforehand, and what questions would you recommend to ask to get the most out of it? Oh, this is a phenomenal question. So just let me set the stage and then Fleetus, right? Let me set the stage. JT Gorman works somewhere where they have had an incident and they responded and did the things. Now that the dust is settled and operations are back, they are going to meet and reflect on what went well, what went wrong. Fleetus, how can JT Gorman be an absolute rock star at this meeting?
So first off, don't know where you've been in this. If you've been following along, you probably have seen their readouts, so their shift change reports, so you can follow along with them. You can ask targeted questions around that. Tie it back to your role, or at least the strengths that you have, and say, hey, I'm willing to take on this task, because there's corrective actions that come out of this. There's usually going to be documentation and policy changes. There's going to be acceptable use policy. Depending on the event, again, I'm stereotyping your IR. I don't know if it was a BEC. I don't know if it was a malware, a ransomware, or if this was an insider attack. Depending on the, either way, you want to tie back how you're going to help them move forward. So you can already say, I'm willing to help rewrite the policy. I'm willing to help you implement new control. I'm willing to audit the logs. I think we need to add this log. We need to remove this log. We need to tune this detection. So those are what's going to come out of it. And there's going to be sub teams. You're going to have an incident commander or an IR leader, whoever's doing it, who's going to likely say, team, here's the technical things. Here's the administrative tasks. Going back to Jax's earlier, this is the risk management we learned from this. This is how we're going to adapt our organization so that we slow them down next time. And I said slow down because you're not going to stop them. If someone is persistent enough, they are going to get into your environment if you are a targeted attack versus an opportunistic attack.
Nails. All right. I love it. And just so the panel knows, as always, I'll just remind you, though, use the private chat inside Restream if you want to field questions or, follow on top, and I will facilitate accordingly. Soulshine says, what's your takeaway from the fireside chat yesterday? For those who don't know, Bryson Bort, CEO of Scythe and Grim Cyber, also just a legend in the industrial control system space. West Point graduate, was my guest, and we talked about cybersecurity startups and talked about business. If you are interested in a business or you're running a cyber business, which I know at least 3 people on this panel are, it might be worth your time. At minimum, ask AI to summarize the key points. My takeaway, one was I always feel like I'm just trying my best to keep it afloat and just continuing marching forward. I don't really know how I'm doing versus others and stuff. Bryson said that I think like 1 out of 5 cyber businesses fail or 1 out of 5 make it in the first year. So like I've been in business for like 7 years. So like I'm okay. Like I feel like I'm in that rare air. So that gave me a little bit of confidence that I'm doing something correctly. So that was my key takeaway. Yeah, Bryson did drop a lot of nuggets. Enchow says, what's a skill gap you see often in people transitioning from network sysadmin into security? DJ BSEC, this is clearly in your wheelhouse. Give it to us.
Yep, that is clearly. And I wouldn't necessarily say this is a gap, but I think it's more along the lines of people don't realize just how much security they actually have been doing sysadmin work and doing network admin work, because that's basically what your job is around making sure that everybody has access, and those that don't need access don't have that access. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I myself, transitioning into doing more security stuff, didn't realize just how much I had already done on a security side versus just hey, this is just what I do on a daily basis. So when it comes to like the network or the sysadmin stuff, all the patching and all of the making sure that your firewall rules are in place and so forth, they don't realize that that is part of one of the domains in security that many don't even realize that they're doing. I would say probably everybody on this panel will probably say the same thing. Everybody doesn't realize just how much security you're doing just by being in the field.
Fleetus, what do you think, man? Yeah,
to add to that is understanding the vernacular change. You got to start speaking business versus the tech when you get into security. Mm-hmm. The bilingual piece that I joked many times is I have to first speak business and then bring in the technical, because if I give them too much technical, I've lost my audience. And that doesn't matter if it's a finance person, if it's my marketing, or if it's a C-level. And then if you have the opportunity, which at some point you probably will, it could be your board, your audit committee. They don't need to hear the technical terms unless they specifically ask. And usually that's in an appendix. So just make sure that you understand how to distill technical data into something that is business acumen. So learn what a return on investment is. Learn what a business impact analysis is. Learn how to do a risk assessment looking at a heat map or how to weight the material loss of an event.
I love it. Thank you.
So
Getting value. This is Cyber Career Hotline. We have an absolute stacked panel, as Kyle points out. Next question coming in hot. Pocket Pixels. How long would it take to get Sec Plus and Net Plus certs? James, what do you think?
As long as you want it to take. I mean, once you set your exam, you're set to go. It's going to come down to how well, I don't know the averages of what it takes, but I know when it comes to certifications, you're going to be studying, you're going to be reviewing, you're going to be taking the practice tests, and then you go sit the exam. One of the tips that I recommend doing is give yourself that target date, give yourself that goal. If you're going to do your security plus, set it for 6 weeks from now, and then do the network plus 6 weeks after that. That might be aggressive, but give yourself that goal and then work towards that, work back from that goal of, okay, I'm doing the reviews here. I got to make sure I get through these chapters this week, and so forth. But give yourself that plan, plan your work and work your plan. And then, it's going to come down to how comfortable you are with taking the cert as a test taker. If you feel you can knock it out in 2 weeks, knock it out in 2 weeks. If it's going to take you 2 months, it takes you 2 months.
I'd flip that though, James. I would make them. I would do Network Plus and then Sec Plus.
Oh, sure.
Because you're gonna get Network Plus. You're gonna get Network questions on Sec Plus.
Yeah, good point. I haven't taken those certs. Once I got my CISSP, I was like, done. Yeah,
I love it. Jax, check private chat. J50 Sully says, just got enrolled in my master's and it was paid for by my work. How do I use this to build connections or give myself more opportunities? Any tips for Cyber Master program? So they're entering a master's program, which they're not paying for, which is phenomenal. How do they build connections? James, you work in higher ed. Give us some love, bud.
I would be, get connected with all your classmates that are in that master's program as well. First of all, see if there's a local Discord for the university or for the class or for your class that you're going to be entering in with. Be out there networking, get connected with, the local chapters. And, whether ISSA, IAC2, ISACA, whatever it may be, but get out there and be able to, build those connections at those events through your classes. And then, with your tips for your Cyber Masters program, one thing to keep in mind, if your organization is paying for it, make sure you know how long you've got to stick around for after you complete it. Because if you complete your master's and then get a job offer and split within 3 months, they'll make you pay the money back. So just make sure you watch that.
100%. Thank you very much. Great opportunity. And I don't know if you said this because I was dorking around with private chat. Just as a quick thing, make sure you're building relationships with not just your student peers, the ones that look like they are taking it seriously, but also the faculty. Did you say that, James, or no?
No.
Oh, good. Yeah. To get with the faculty, okay? Take it seriously. Get with the faculty, all right?
I'll give you one more thing, too, and it just depends because I do this for my undergrad that I'm an adjunct for. Find out what their advisory board looks like, what professionals sit on their committees, and connect with them on LinkedIn. Introduce yourself, especially if you're looking to transition into a new job, not just adding your master's for your existing job, because those companies are likely already invested in that master's program and possibly are willing to hire from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And keep this in mind. Just again, this is just having gone through thousands of introductions over the time. When you say, hey, random person I've never spoke to, I'm in this master's program, it is the piece of information that ties you to them. Like if you say, hey, you want to talk? They're like, no, right? Like there's a 50-50 chance. No. If you say, hey, I'm part of the master's program, do you want to talk? They're like, okay. Like it gives you, I don't want to call it credibility, but it's like the social currency that is your badge to get you access to that conversation. So don't sleep on that because, it's an opportunity. All right. All right. So Space Taco says her bus driver is moving into IT cyber, and she was told that the CSOC, which I guess is the SOC at her company, rarely hires women. Any advice on how to break that glass ceiling? She's got a bachelor's and a master's in cyber. Now, I, as a white male, feel like I'm quite accomplished to be able to answer. In all seriousness, Jack Scott, You want to answer this one as a woman who works in technology?
Yeah, first off, Space Taco, that sucks for your CSOC and not hiring women. I think that's ignorant, straight up. And being a woman, for anybody that doesn't know, anybody in the community, I've spent 20 years in the military, and like 15 of that was in the special ops. So there was definitely times where being a woman wasn't in my favor. And we see what's happening in politics even right now. So we won't belabor that point. It can be a challenging spot. But the first thing, just reading that right there, the first thing that I thought of when I read the sentence, she was told that the CSOC at her company hardly ever hires women. I wouldn't want to work there. I mean, I would first ask yourself, why do you want to work there? Because you should be at a place where people are going to support you and value you regardless of your gender, regardless of your color, period. Now, if you still want to work there, you're going to probably have to work twice as hard to show your value, ideally. And it's probably this individual that doesn't want to hire women probably has issues with other people. So consider that as well. And consider doing like branding yourself, getting a public appearance, showing your work, doing public speaking. And the reason I say that is bosses like to brag about good bosses like to brag about their talent unless they're insecure. They like to brag, especially if their employee is going to do a speaking engagement or has a big brand. They're going to want to hire you on. They're going to want to engage you because they'll be able to tell their boss's boss, look at this amazing person I just hired. They have X amount of followers. They have this blog. They have this thing. That will typically help you get in the door a little bit better. But again, do you want to work there? I think is the question that you want to ask yourself, because if they're already not wanting to hire women or other individuals, it's probably not a great place to work. And I know that the market's like a hard place, but I wouldn't do that to myself, and I'd probably look somewhere else, because you shouldn't have to be segregated because you're a woman at all. It drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy too. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Especially in cyber, it's like, can you do the work? Yes,
right.
No.
And as a hiring manager, I tend to ask them to remove anything that's going to give me an unconscious bias. I hate to say that I have unconscious biases, but remove their name, remove a gender, remove their age if they put their graduation year before you give it to me.
Agreed.
Remove something that's going to keep me from judging you before I talk to you or really truly evaluate you, because it happens, and I'm being frank with you. Like, I can just read a resume and make a judgment and never talk to a person, and I hate that it happened, but I've been aware of it and I'm working on that I can do better about, get past that unconscious bias or that preconceived notion where I worked with someone with the same degree or the same company or the same name. Sometimes even the name is a trigger.
That's fair. That's solid, actually. One of the things I love about my name, Jax, is there will be times my Uber driver will pick me up and be like, I thought you were a dude. And it kind of works in my favor because unless they go to my LinkedIn, they don't know if I'm a man or a woman before I get that first interview. And I know some people on here are not telling you to change your name, but to your point, maybe leave your first name off and just have your last name on your resume. That's another way you could probably get around that, I think. To do that as well.
There's
but it's crappy that we even have to do that.
There's tips and tricks to anonymize your resume.
Yeah.
Especially if, like, you have to put it on the application, but to get the resume, which is going to be disseminated. Again, I'm giving you other resume tips. Remove some of that sensitive information. It's not needed on a resume in 2026. I don't need to know your age. I don't need to know your birthday. I don't need to know when you graduated from college unless it's an entry level. And even then, I'd still argue I don't need to know the year. I just need to know you graduated from the college.
What are your thoughts on, so one thing I've done recently is my experience goes very long because I've been in the industry. Well, I remove some of those later experiences where it shows that, because I don't need to show that I've done 18 or 20 years, for example. I would just show the relevant. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 15 years. But I think too, part of that is if you show all of your experience, it's also going to age you. It's going to show your age. What's your thoughts on that? Like,
I've done two things. I've done the one that I'm giving you, as the hiring manager, and the one that I'm applying with, because like the hiring manager needs to see all of my experience at the end, but the HR person, or let me reverse that. The HR wants to see it all. The hiring manager doesn't need to see. So that's when I consolidate down to a 2-pager or 3-pager, and I may list every job, but it's like 1 point, or I'll say I've done these X roles over these last few years in a subsection. It's up to the hiring manager. But to your point, yes, I interviewed someone this week, and I could tell that they've been in the field for 25 plus years, and it was an entry level job. It was hard to want to interview them when they've been in the tech for so long and not moved out of entry level.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So for just to kind of offer my approach to this, because I had the same problem, but I wanted to keep it 2 pages. My resume is 2 pages. I give all the relevant stuff, and then basically the last quarter of my last page, or well, not that, but like the segment after that, I just say prior experience. So like it's like my last job, and then once I reach a certain point, I'll say prior experience, and then I just cherry pick a few like key functions I performed. So like you don't even know what company I worked at, you don't know how long I worked there. It's just I did this and I did this, and like it's obvious that it's a chronological compression. And if you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But most people don't give it. Most people don't care what you did in 2005. Like it doesn't matter. So that's another way to do it without like, because the thing is, you want to make it look like you don't want, if you have 20 years of experience, you don't want to just include your last 3 years of experience, because then you're going to look like you only have 3 years of experience. So you've got to kind of, needle that, or not needle that thread that needle.
The other thing too, and we've talked on this panel, and then we can move on, is most of the time I'm not using my resume to get an interview. Like you're using your network, at least at the panel, the people on this panel. I'm not saying for intro, but like most of it, I'm going to go to Jax and say, "Hey, Jax, I saw the role. I know you know someone. Can you make an intro?" Or Jax, I see you have a role. Could I talk to you about the role for myself or for a mentee? And I'm going to do an intro either way. So the resume is mainly just to put into the HR management system, so that when someone audits, why did you hire Fleetus? What's his qualifications? They can go pull my resume or my job profile.
I 100% agree with that. Just for fun, because I love Fleetus. Just for fun, I just want to show you. I just found, based on the response Fleetus just gave, if you heard what he said about how he doesn't need a resume to get a job, I actually just found a live picture of Fleetus walking into a job interview. There he is, right there, just having his walk there. Nice job, Fleetus. Like all about good times, buddy. We've got another panelist coming on. This is actually a brand new panelist, brand new to the Simply Cyber community. His name's Daniel Owen. Daniel will introduce you and bring it on. This is a Sean Kilburn from High Point recommendation. A lot riding on Sean right now. So Daniel, come on down. What's up, dude?
Thanks for the invite. I definitely appreciate it.
Hell yeah. So Daniel, really quick, can you give us 30 seconds on who you are and what you do so the community can ask you questions that are relevant?
I have done IT for, 2.5 decades now, done cyber for, the last 10 or 15 years full time. But I mean, even when I was just, in my earliest jobs, security was what I was interested in. But, in the late 90s, finding a full-time security job was a little bigger trick than it is today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a good experience. There is, just so you know, there's a private chat there in the window for us to talk. I use it to facilitate. We got a question from Roswell, UK, that is not a dad joke. Basically, here's the scenario. You get a job offer. So first of all, awesome. Second of all, it's conditional on passing a security screening, which is common, right? Background clearing, make sure you're not into drugs or whatever. Or, you're got a felony arrest warrant out. It could take 12 months though, and they won't start your employment until then. Do you pass on this job? Let's do a lightning round. Daniel, you go first. Welcome to the frying pan.
Fair enough. Honestly, I've never had the experience where somebody wanted me to pass a test like that, but they weren't willing to provisionally hire me. I mean, I had that issue when I needed a federal clearance, but they provisionally brought me in. If it's a 12-month out, that's a tough one. I mean, if you can stay in your current job without having to leave, that's something I would definitely consider. But I mean, that's a two-way street. I mean, if they can walk away from me without any notice in that 12 months, if something better comes along, hey, I'm sorry you put the money into doing the background check on me, but somebody else came along with a better offer that was quicker.
Yeah, 100%. I'll just offer a quick little thought on this one. I would do what my man Justin Gold did, right? Say, no problem, but keep hiring, keep interviewing. Maybe you take a job a month later and it turns out to be like a neck job. And then you get called in 12 months about this job. Hey, you finally passed. You just quit your job and go on. It's 2026, dude. Like, you don't need to get a gold watch from Ford Motor Company anymore. That's not the way of the world. Did DJ BSEC drop?
Yeah, he said he had to go to the airport.
Go to the airport.
Oh, how convenient. Okay, so Kyle says I'm having trouble putting our CTI content out, putting out CTI content because I can't use stuff from my job for personal gain. How do you manage separating work clients from personal blogging, LinkedIn, etc.? Oof. All right, I've got some thoughts on this. I'll throw it to the panel. James, you want to field this one?
Yeah, I think we're always wanting to share our work and what we're working on and have something. You would have to anonymize the particular, most likely. If people are going to know where you work because they can just go look at LinkedIn. So you don't want to be talking about, so we had this Palo Alto firewall or we had this issue implementing CrowdStrike or whatever. You probably want to keep it as generalized as possible and look at the lessons learned would be my take on it. With regards to, what did you learn from the situation? Was it something where we got to look before we leap? It's something where we got to test more, try to find something where you can generalize it without getting specific with regards to the technology, certainly not the organization overall. Maybe it's something that you might be able to share internally. If you can share it with your manager, you've got a blog and there might be some way they might be able to share it internally, depending on the size of your organization. Try to anonymize it as best as possible. Go with the lessons learned.
I love it. Daniel, you work at an MSP or an MSSP in a sense, right? So you're dealing with all sorts of different clients. What would you do as far as kind of trying to build personal brand, share stories, share work experience, mentor at scale while still towing the line of not disclosing sensitive information?
So it's an interesting question. And I think in some respects, working as a consultant, that's a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. Prior to the current job I'm in, I was always working, just in a single provider for a single company. So if I said something online about, we had this problem with CrowdStrike, well, you can probably look at my LinkedIn and figure out if it's, current time, that's who it is. Whereas, if I say something as a consultant, as long as I don't say who my clients are, it's a little more hard to tell. Having said that, I still try to be as generic as I possibly can. And a lot of what I put out personally, it's personal projects. The last one I put out was a lab build thing. I don't use that. Well, I guess I do build my labs using it for work, but at the same time, that was a project that I built it in my own time because I specifically did not want it to be a work product.
There you go. Kyle says, and I want to do a quick around the horn, yay or nay. Kyle says he brings physical copies of his resume to the interviews, the physical in-person interviews. Do you do that yourself? One question. And two, do you like it when people do that? I'll go first. I do it. I do bring physical copies because sometimes people who are in the meeting weren't on the email. Like they just got thrown in there the last second. So it's a courtesy to me. And when people do it, I'm indifferent. If they hand me one, I've already reviewed it. So I'm indifferent about it. James, what do you think?
Bringing physical copies, yeah. It doesn't hurt, because you could get in there and they're like, oh, there's a problem with our computer or we can't pull up your resume. Oh, well, here you go. It's more business continuity, using cybersecurity concepts within our own lives. So for me, I'm like, sure, bring it as long as it's not, you're not carrying 100 of them. You got a couple of them in your little padfolio or whatever.
I love it. Daniel, what are you thinking? You bring in a physical copy to the interview, and how do you feel when someone brings one to an interview?
Kind of same concept. I don't see any harm in it. I'm not spending 50 cents a page on paper anymore like I did in the olden days. It's just plain printer paper these days.
There you go, Fleetus.
So
what's your move?
I'm going to come at it from a slightly different. I bring a copy from myself if I'm doing it in person to reference because they're going to ask me questions and I may not know exactly the bullet point because I've tweaked the resume. I don't like paper copies because I lose control of the paper copy. Yes, there's a digital copy. Someone can forward it, but I don't know what they're going to do with my resume when I leave. I don't know if it gets in a trash can. And going back to my point earlier, I may have put stuff on that resume that I normally would not have shared because of the type of role. So I may share content. So I don't like losing control of the paper copy. So I'm hesitant, but I understand that there is a time and a need for the paper copy. But at the same point, I know someone can just forward my email and it can be leaked, but that's that OSINT thing in me. Occasionally, I don't want to give away certain bullet points or certain topics because there's projects I will list for certain companies that I've applied for that I would not have put on my LinkedIn or I would not have given to someone else. So it's sensitive to that person.
Jax, what do you got? Mute.
You pulled the game.
I know. Dang it. I know I was coughing in the background. As a hiring manager, most of my initial interviews were virtual, so you couldn't really bring a resume. But I was like sitting here thinking, I'm like, what would I do? I really honestly wouldn't care either way, because to Jerry's point too, I've already reviewed it. I'm probably, because just how my brain works, I'm not going to be reviewing it as I'm talking to you, or I'm not going to be listening. But to everybody else's point, it's not going to hurt. And I also thought, what would I think about this individual if they brought it? I would be like, okay, they're prepared. So it's a positive if you do bring it, but there is that security thing if you just give it away. So it's a pro and a con, but at the end of the day, I don't think most hiring managers are like, oh, you brought a resume. That's amazing, but it can't hurt.
But I will say, don't scent the paper. Don't put it on colored paper. Don't put anything on it. Like, just don't do those.
Scent the paper. It's a scratch and sniff at the top.
I did. I had someone bring in something and it had perfume on it. And I think that they thought that would help me keep track of it.
Awesome.
And that was not the way of doing that, please.
Like they're like, hey, Fleetus, hold on.
There we go. Yes, exactly. This is my resume.
For the interview. Yes.
Okay. Also, hey, really quick, I'm still processing whether or not I would do this, but Fleetus mentioned you bring a resume in and then it is a point in time. It's not updated. So like you could lose control of the versioning of it. I just thought, it'd be interesting putting, getting like a roll of QR code stickers and slapping them on your resume with a little note that says like, for most updated or for additional information or something, QR code. And like, this is what I use. I don't really tell people about this, but like, this is just a landing page for me. It's a one pager. It shows up really nice on the phone. Here's my YouTube, Discord, LinkedIn, email me directly. Here's a mixtape I made for you. But like, this is a resume on fire for me going, you can go as deep down the rabbit hole as you want. This is dynamic. And you could easily just put a QR code. And by the way, if someone's like, oh, like you put a QR code, that seems really, really dodgy. It's like, dude, like it's not dodgy. It's just a hyperlink. If I had put a URL there, it would be the same thing. So, chill out and scan the code. Curiosity is going to get the most of people, and they are going to scan that thing. And it's a great way to stand out. I haven't done this myself. I'm just thinking out loud based on what Fleetus just said, but I think it's a cool idea.
I like that approach a lot better because it shows that you're innovative and that, yes, a QR code is not that hard, but to some people, they don't use them. They don't even know how to they're like, it's not a URL. So it shows a little bit of your technical side too. I like that. I like it a lot.
I will add to that too. If you have a portfolio, it's easier to say, here, scan this to see my portfolio.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're trying to bring in all these printed copies, or you're trying to give them links to 12 different repos, or trying to tell them how to find your GitHub project or your GitLab project. Just say, go here and here's how you can peruse me. Because I will admit, as a hiring manager, if you get me to click on a link or get me to go somewhere, I'm going to spend more than the 30 seconds on your resume. So you want me to go somewhere. So if you can, even digitally, send me the QR code, because it might entice me, not physically. I might scan it or go to it.
Because on a virtual interview, if somebody sent that and dropped it in the chat, I could click on it. And then, to your point, that would give me, especially the link tree, I would see so much more that maybe I didn't see prior. I like that. That would impress me. Yeah, that would be a little tiny impressment, tiny bit. Yeah,
just a tip in the moment. But if you're here for the secret cyber career hotline broadcast, you just got that one. So thanks, Fleetus, for
because to Jax's point, you want to stand out enough that I think about you twice. Like I hate to say that, you want me to think about you after you leave the room. Like I have to remember to think about you.
With context, because spray and perfume, you definitely thought about it a second time.
Elle said it. I was going to say it, and Space Dockers threw it in there. Elle says to put it, send it. It gives a little.
We're not talking about Legally Blonde this morning, okay?
That's funny. That's funny. Inkit says, recent grad here with no experience, built skills through SOC Home Lab, Sec Plus, and a master's program. Also, some SOC roles require security clearances. I assume that means secret level clearance. What can I do to improve my chances? Daniel, we're going to give you this one because this is a super common question that we get a lot. Is like, how do I break? I've done all the things. How do I get either in or get experience? What would you say to this person?
I think it's fair to acknowledge that, the hiring environment right now, it's tough. So, I think that's a fair thing to say front of mind, but you're doing the right things. You're doing home labs, you're doing the certs. Definitely try to get out there. If you got local conferences, go to them, meet people. I'm the guy that hates meeting people randomly. I find it to be stressful and difficult. But realistically, you just have to do it. Get the resume out there as well, and just it's a grind.
All right, Fleetus, what do you got? I know you mentor all the time too.
So the tricky part of this one is you have a two-part question. You're not going to get a security clearance as a recent grad. 9 times out of 10, unless you get lucky and you go into the military and they force it to other parts. Because I've tried clearance 3 times in my career and I've yet to get one because of just different places in the companies I worked in. I was not the top person and clearances take a while. So just for full transparency, and I've worked in and out of cyber defense and SOCs for the last 10 years. So continue to use your home labs and talk about those skills with anyone and everyone. Do a B-Sides talk, do an ISC2 talk, go out and do a demo. Go to a DEF CON chapter and show your home lab skills off. I just went to a prompt injection event. We did something similar to, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but we went through a lab and it was fun. I remember the lab. It's going to have fun. I'm going to try to probably rebuild something like that for my students at App, but it's fun to think about that. So just talk about it. Your degrees, sadly, don't mean as much in 2026. I hate to say that out loud. Degrees used to be what got you into the door. Now everyone has a master's degree. And I hate to say that too, frankly, but everyone has a master's. Or they have a PhD now and they're trying to get mid-level jobs. That's how sad, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's sad when you see a doctorate candidate coming in for an 80K to 100K job.
Yeah, 100% right there with you. It's all about networking. It's all about relationships. Get working on those and personal branding. I've got multiple videos on it because I feel that strongly about it. I do want to address one comment here. Pocket Pixels offered up some advice here that I want to push back on. She said, he or she said, never put stickers on your laptops. It makes it stick out and tells people what you're into. Just leave it plain. Plain is good. I would argue by putting the stickers on, you're actually having icebreaker conversations. You're showing personality. It is a subtle nonverbal. Yeah, Fleetus has got his. Also, in my experience, it is super common in cybersecurity. In fact, I went to a conference not too long ago. It was for healthcare, but me and Deb and Grady were both there, and we were the only two with fully loaded water bottles full of stickers. James is there. So, Pocket Pixels, I appreciate your insight, and you can certainly roll that way. I would argue the stickers are a good way. If you're interviewing for a Fortune 500 CISO job and you're in a boardroom on the 80th floor on 5th Avenue or whatever, maybe you don't do that, but chances are you're not bringing your laptop into that meeting anyways. So
the only thing I will say too, and I go back and forth on this one, is branded skins that have your company name on it. So that tells me what company laptop you have. So I've seen those where they put just the company name on it and it's a big sticker and then they walk out of the room or it's at the coffee shop. So that's the security thing. If you're going to do stickers, not sticker.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. That's a good one. Jack Scott, Soulshine's got a question here. It's several, so it's rapid fire, Jax. How do you use AI in your daily life? You said you're a super power user. First, I want you to start off at the end. Have you ever jumped out of a helicopter?
Yes, I have jumped out of a helicopter. Wait, yeah, okay.
I would say, by the way, I might be wrong, Jax, but don't you want to just fall out of a helicopter versus jumping out of a helicopter? I feel like you don't have a lot of clearance to jump there.
You really do need you have to be careful because if you're going out on a rope, you'll get turtled, which is essentially gets sucked up underneath the helicopter and you can't really move. and you look like a turtle. You're like, ugh. Yeah, it sucks. Especially if you're on a rope. I swear, Google it, y'all, if you don't believe me.
Right.
Turtled under a
Googling.
helicopter.
So while you answer how you use AI, Jack, I'm Googling turtling. By the way, if this poisons my Google search history, I'm going to kill you.
Oh God. Okay. I'm going to rapid fire how I'm using it. So I created a faceless YouTube agent. So I plugged in HeyGen, 11 Labs, and a couple of our other harnesses. And based on one prompt, it'll pop deliver a video, either whatever length, whatever content I want within a moment of like 5 to 6 minutes. So I've done that. I've also created a social media client management tool for 2 cyber ticks. So I do everything through that tool. So they'll reach out, they'll schedule the appointments, they'll get the Calendly links sent to them, the StreamYard links, the questions, they'll do the episode notes, everything based on a prompt. They'll do the research of the client and do the intros and the outros and everything for me at this point in time. I created a multimodal platform so I can send text, emails, all different types of comms through like one platform. I also have an agent that's air gapped right now on my OpenClaw machine that's working inside of Maltbook. So they're scraping data right now around what's going on with Bitcoin, general atmospherics of what's happening in the agentic environment, and delivering that to me in like a packet every day. So I know exactly what's happening in the like AI environments. And there's so much more that I'm doing right now. Yeah. So that's
Jax, you threw out some terms, and I want to help people understand. Describe harness for them in case they don't know what a harness is. What is multimodal? Again, for those who haven't played in AI, I just want to help the audience who may not know some of your terms.
Yeah. So multimodal is multiple. Best way of thinking about it is like multiple platforms, multiple modes. So when I say that, that means when I go into the platform and I write a message, it'll send it to email, it'll send it to social media, and it'll send it to text message. So multi different modes of being able to communicate. A harness, a best way of thinking about a harness is something to be able to attach on to what you're building. So you've got, and that's what makes your models much stronger, is you harness on different platforms. And so I've got HeyGen, 11 Labs. I think, wouldn't harness be integrations at the same time? Couldn't they be interchangeable in a way? Yep. I mean, because you're harnessing it, you're putting it on there, you've got API integrations into it. So those are all harnessed in to make my models much stronger. And your model is, if you just open a model and start using it, it's pretty powerful, but it only becomes smarter and more powerful based on the APIs or the harnesses, the integrations that you put onto it. So that was a good call out. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want, because the chat's talking about, and I had to educate my CIO the other day.
Yeah.
He's like, what is a harness? He started asking AI what a harness was. I was trying to help him understand it's the wrapper, it's the guardrails, it's all the protections you put around it to give it the context that it needs to do its job better. So
yeah, that's true. Okay. Yep. We're thinking about it a little bit differently. So my harness in your way is the right way. So I'm using it properly. So my harness, when I usually create a model from the start, I do it through a prompt. It's usually no more than 2 pages. There's actually a framework for it. I can't remember the framework off the top of my head, but it's like 3 or 4 acronyms. You probably know it. And you build it, and inside of it has the guardrails, the skills, the personality, what I want it to complete, how I want it to like deliver and complete the project. And then that's where the harness is inside of it, where it wraps in all my security protocols. The harness I use for my my OpenClaw, for example, is that it won't be doing any payment. It will just listen. It will not give away any proprietary information. And it's very locked in. So if I try to get it to do anything, it'll say, no, according to rule number 6, I can't do X, Y, and Z. So you'll have to change my behavior or I can't do this thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I like when I get pushed like that because it makes me like sharper, because I'm like, yeah, I probably was not using the word harness correctly. Yeah.
All right, Daniel, with our last question of the day before we go around the horn and talk about where we can get more of each other. Anime Quote says, what can I do to level up in the PAM domain? Privileged access management. Identity and access management is so hot right now and very, very important from a cyber perspective. Anime says they feel like they're just cruising and remaining stagnant. Daniel, give us the playbook here on how Anime Quote can level up in PAM like a boss.
So here's the thing. I mean, I'm not quite sure where you're coming from. If you're currently a PAM admin on a particular product, if you are, by all means, dig into that product until there's nowhere to dig, or at least until there's nowhere practical to dig, and become an expert within the company. If you're trying to get into that particular area, I'm going to say go back to fundamentals. Don't learn about PAM, learn about identity management, and then layer the tools on top of that. To me, it's far more important to understand the basics of a technology and get that broad knowledge very solid before you try digging into the specific tools. Tools first is something that we do a lot in this industry, and it's wrong.
I love it. Thank you so much. Real talk here from Daniel, newest member to the panel. Guys, let's go around the horn. Jack Scott, where can people get more Jacks?
Boom, boom, boom. Find me on LinkedIn. And here, I'm going to be coming back. I mean, being unemployed and launching your own company, essentially. So I guess I'm not unemployed. I'm rewilding right now with my own AI company I've been running for the last 3 or 4 months. I have a lot more time because I'm the boss, which is great, and also bad at times. So I'll be here on Fridays as much as I can be. And then hit me up on LinkedIn. I love connecting. I mean, Fleetus, I just met you. Daniel, I just met you. So this has been great. Thank you guys for having me. And I love this community. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, Jack Scott. It's always great to have you. A lot of people in chat demanding more Jacks on the panel. In fact, one person said they want you to be a staple. Jax is a busy professional, so can't make it all the time, but we love having you. Daniel, where can people get some Daniel in their life? New to the community, you're dropping knowledge bombs right out the gate.
Find me on LinkedIn. It's Daniel Owen, or go to my vanity website, danielowen.com, which has very little on it, but it does have a link to my LinkedIn account, I hope.
Hold on. Let's bring, oh my God, Daniel, you minx, you have me. Hold on, guys. You got to look at this thing. You absolute boss, dude. Look at this. 80s.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Hercules
awesome.
monochrome. Daniel, you are flirting with me right now.
Oh my goodness.
I'll drop the link.
That is 100% AI slop. So, but hey,
at least you owned it. But that's awesome,
man. Like,
someone had to give it the prompt to tell it to make it awesome. All right. So I dropped a link to Daniel's website there. Fleetus, give us something for the masses.
Yeah. So similar to Jax, I've been trying to put out some more AI content, but I'm looking at it more from the governance side. I'm moonlighting as my GRC analyst still here. So feel free to check out some of my clips. I've been cross-posting in between LinkedIn and YouTube. Again, it's Secure Carolina in Greenville, South Carolina next month that I'll be at. I believe it's Thursday morning. I'm presenting on the human-centric side of AI. So it's a talk I've given for other places, just rewriting it. I don't have links. I apologize. I was going to drop them, but I didn't pull them up. Other than that, I'll try to make it back similar to Jax as much as I can here on Fridays. I am gainfully employed, and my 9 o'clock hour sometimes gets pulled up. So feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'm always around. You can find me on the Discord or LinkedIn.
That's the event right here, right? Fleetus? Secure Carolinas Conference.
In Greenville. It should be like the 27th of August or something like that.
Yeah, Rome Center at Greenville.
Yes.
All right, so I'm dropping a link to that. If you are in the Greenville area or you want to be, it's actually a cool little town. A lot of fun, very hip stuff going on there. You can check out Fleetus. James McQuiggan, give us some love, bro.
Well, yesterday I posted, I'm now collaborating, working with the Cybermaniacs. They're a group that does human risk management. They got a fantastic program. I'm working with them on top of funnel content and a little marketing stuff. But in the meantime, you can go out to Amazon, look for me and Michelle Kahn. We got a megabyte of jokes. So if you liked the jokes that were there today, the camping ones, as I was in Wyoming last weekend, a lot of fun being up there. But yeah, definitely had fun with the jokes. I got to tell you, folks, I know the jokes going in, and I know them, but it's Jerry's reaction that's what sells it for me every week. I love that. So
love it.
It's fun. It's fun to do. I've dropped a link in chat. I think it's a affiliate link. I don't know, but there's a link in chat for the book here, Megabyte of Jokes. James McQuiggan and Michelle Kahn. all about good times. I love it.
And I appreciate the old reference again. You know, it's the oldest segment of the show, the old James McQuiggan. I like that. That works.
The most seasoned segment of the show.
You missed an opportunity yesterday, Jerry, with the fireside chat. I was going to say it earlier. You could have told Bryson he could have worked the door for you for your.
No, I know. I've chosen to kind of let that go to bed.
We'll let that one go. Yeah, all right.
And he said he actually was going to try to make it this year, so we'll see.
That'd be good to see.
For promoting my thing, if you are going to Black Hat, DEF CON, Simply Cyber, and Hack Smarter, myself and Tyler are hosting, funding. You just have to show up and be all about good times. A meetup, community meetup, is basically just a huge party, open bar, open food. Oh, well, no, open bar. There'll be food trucks. You'll have to get that. But 4 to 7 on August 7th. Details to follow. I'm setting it up because you're going to have to register and buy a $5 ticket. 100% of proceeds go to charity. We're going to be donating all the money to Becky's Fund, which is a really well-vetted philanthropy that goes towards helping women and people abused of domestic violence. It's not just always women. There's all sorts of crazy stuff with domestic violence. So all the money's there. We're raising the money simply so that there's a little bit of friction, just to be transparent. That way 1,000 people don't sign up and then we can't host 1,000 people in this space. So we need to make it a little bit of a hurdle for people who want to be there, but all of your $5 goes directly to Becky's Fund. Guys, Simply CyberCon, November 8th and 9th. Come check it out, simplycybercon.org. I want to say thank you to Jack Scott, Daniel Owen, Fleetus Poston, James McQuiggan, and to you, community. You guys brought the heat. Another banger of a cyber career hotline. Till next time, y'all, stay secure.